Hello and welcome to Power Reflections, a proud member of the Duff Network where we reflect on Wildbow's most lost work 5 years on. I'm Reuben Morehouse.
And back again, I'm Elliot Diebold. And yeah, it's 5 years since Pale started.
So are we doing Deep in Pale? Is that what's finally happening, Elliot? Where we cover each chapter of Pale 5 years on?
No, the story was too short the first time around. I want more of
We're
it.
doing another lap around. No, that's not what we're doing.
No, it isn't. Although I would like to say, what a fucking story that was. I mean,
God, Pale. It's good, right? Yeah.
It's been a year and a half now since it ended,
And since we've talked about it, you and I have
yeah.
made a vow to never talk about Pale unless we recorded it.
Yeah, I get it's amazing how well I still remember most of it, considering how just fucking huge it is.
And I think it's amazing I still remember most of it, considering how shocking my memory is. So
yeah, I mean, mood. Actually, speaking of, that's a great reminder just to plug. If people haven't seen, we are also doing a show on The Expanse where Ruben's now the new reader, so his memory is not needed.
Is wiped.
Yeah.
That show, Belting at Windmills, you can find more details on it on the Duff website. The first episode for it hasn't come out yet. It's coming out in about a week. But we did a little intro ep to tell you what's going on. It's also a community read kind of podcast, similar to Pale Reflections. So you can listen to that episode to find out more details, I suppose.
Yeah, the introduction will let you know what you're in for, and that way you can get a head start when it starts in a week.
Yeah, so no requirement to have read any of the Expanse books because I haven't. But yeah, check it out.
Yeah. Last bit of housekeeping, I think, before we really get into what this episode is going to be. Although people probably figured it out from the title. I need to apologize. It was my job to follow up after All Packed Up 2 and mail everyone prizes that they won and start Pace 2 and edit the videos, and I haven't done any of that, and I'm starting now.
Nice.
So yeah, I guess
that's
sorry
coming.
that's taken me so
It's
long.
on its way, gang.
Yeah, if you think you were owed a prize, I'm going to be going through the videos to figure out who we owe stuff to. But feel free to email us if you think you were owed one, because you're probably right, and I probably owe it to you. So
It's taken us about a year to recover from a 36-hour live stream. So
kind of, yeah.
Cool. Well, so let's stop dancing around it, Elliot. What is this episode going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to talk with you about this cool thing Wildbow's been doing on his Discord server for the last year and a bit, basically. Where basically, I mean, as we all know, at the end of Pale, we still didn't know what the fuck was happening with Pisces and Hazel. And Wildbow is running games to help everyone figure that out, although obviously not giving us the answer, otherwise somebody probably would have done it by now. But yeah,
somebody would have done what? Sorry, gone onto the paths.
Or figured out what Pisces thing is. I assume Wildbow would say if somebody got it.
You were messaging me just before, Elliot, saying that you had figured it out. Is this episode going to contain your?
No.
Okay, you still.
I've done that. That's the thing. Well, that's what I was saying to you in that chat. I was like, man, this theory seems really good, but also I've been there 3 times in the past, so I no longer have any faith in
next time.
Yeah, me feeling like, oh, this is a good theory. So I'm just gonna sit on that one. I don't think it's worth sharing.
Okay, well, so that's not happening in this episode. What is happening in this episode?
Yeah, I guess I just want to I think it'll be good for us to talk about what Wildbow's been cooking, and he's basically been running a game. Those of you who joined us for All Packed Up 2 would have obviously watched us and then the audience go through this sort of riddle quest thing to try and unlock some answers about Pisces and the paths. And Wildbow has sort of kept that going in spirit and also made it a lot better and more fleshed out on Discord. So that's kind of the ongoing Otherverse content at the moment. So it seemed worth us talking about it and advertising it for people who didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, plus you made that really sick art for this episode. That was 90% of the reason I agreed to do this was just because the, episode art that you put together, Elliot, was so sick that I just needed to participate.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm here I wanted to advertise this because I think it's a really cool thing that is being done. And I feel like 90% of people, I only managed to join the PathQuest channel on the official Parahumans Discord server today because it took me 25 minutes to figure out how to join it. So I don't like. I love this and I think it's really
And
cool, but I also think it's not the most accessible thing ever made. So like, I'm
remind us,
kind of
Elliot,
hoping that
how
we can
old
change
are
that a
you
bit.
again? A
Sorry.
million years old? What are you? You don't know how Discord works, right? Is that what you're trying to tell us? You're actually a 100-year-old man.
Yeah. Okay. Tell you what, I'll just sit here. Why don't I'll wait till you post a message in the
No,
PathQuest
no,
channel.
it took me so long to find the old 100 Years Lost New Year's Eve event thread today. I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I don't know, I'll
No, I
probably just,
agree.
like,
Yeah.
include links and instructions in the fucking show notes because it's pretty obtuse, especially if you're not familiar with that Discord server specifically. But yeah, hopefully this will get more people involved because it looks like a fun thing and it's, more the merrier type situation as well.
Yeah, so for PathQuest, Elliot, what is that? I feel like I have no context. I participated in one of the other things we're going to talk about, which was that New Year's Eve or
Yes.
New Year's 2025 event, which we'll talk about soon. But PathQuest was mentioned in that, and I have like no context for what it actually is.
Yeah, so they're very similar. PathQuest is like this campaign sort of thing Wildbow has been running. Where basically, he equips the community with like a character who has various like boon companions, like magical items, that sort of thing, and is wandering around the paths and basically like trying to solve challenges, riddles, whatever that get put in front of them. Very similar to what we did in All Packed Up too, basically.
Mm,
Um, but PathQuest is just like a vast version of this. So like a big difference is it's just somebody running the paths. Like I think they even go and do non-path stuff between paths in PathQuest.
mm,
So they're basically like full role playing a character who's a finder with like a life outside the paths and everything, and kind of slowly making their way through the paths and gathering resources and stuff.
yeah, cool.
Um,
So kind of a Wabo is DMing a community managed, I don't know, like tabletop RPG kind of.
Yeah, like the way I've started to think about it is it's almost like an ARG and a TTRPG had a baby. Like it's that kind of classic community ARG puzzle solving thing, but then it is run very much in a flavor that feels like your sort of tabletop role playing.
Mm. Yeah, from my impression of it, well, this was my impression of the New Year's event at
Yeah.
least.
Oh, well, so
Uh,
sorry. I'll just we maybe we're doing this in the wrong order, but just to sort of
sure.
give context, yeah. So the goal of PathQuest is basically to get the finder that they're role playing like good enough to reach this part of the paths called the Far Reaches, which is where Hazel got to, and that's where like the constructions are and all that shit, right?
Mm. Yeah.
So the New Year's Eve event was a special thing Wildbow ran at the start of like this year, so at New Year's 2024, 2025.
Hmm.
And that was basically like a kind of separate thing where we all got to role play as a practitioner who just kind of accidentally found their way to the far reaches with
Yeah.
not very much stuff. So it's kind of like it was like a preview of what the final level of Path Quest will look like. The idea of
Mm.
Path Quest being that if they make it to the far reaches, they're going to be way better equipped than we were in the New Year's Eve thing. Like they're going to have like tons of items.
Right. Yeah.
But they're having to work their asses off to get there. So this was kind of like a skip straight to the boss level, but with a really shit loadout sort of situation for the New Year's Eve event.
And sets up that final level so we can all see how difficult it's going to be.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's kind of a bit easier now because some of it'll be the same. So
Right.
but yeah, yeah, I just gotta say, so PathQuest is ongoing. Like it's been going since I think March last year, and like the last update I'm seeing here is from like an hour before this recording.
So it's
Um,
active.
sorry.
It's active at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, it's going and it looks like a lot of fun. I'm gonna try and get more involved, but I am admittedly struggling a little bit to kind of catch up on what's happening. Like, but I think they're running a path called the Marching Orders at this point. They just played a card game against a boog,
Mm.
um, and eventually managed to win it. And so then a knight gave them some items to choose from. They could have got more out of him, but they had to offer him something first, and he didn't like what they gave him. Um, and now basically they're currently figuring out where to go next. But yeah, it's a very like I think Wildbow posts stuff and then gives people like a day or so to like gives the community DASO to like formulate their
to
response or whatever.
respond.
So it's
Yeah.
you just sort of check in every now and then.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Um, well, yeah, so I think we're probably going to talk a bit more about the New Year's Eve path adventure in this episode because I think that's one that I directly interfaced with a lot more and it's more digestible, I think, given that it was,
Yes.
ran for about a week and a
Even
half.
just recapping Path Quest at this point would be kind of a massive endeavor.
Mm. And
And
we're not
it
starting a new podcast to do that, are we? Or we aren't?
no. But it does like it's fully if you like the sound of this kind of gameplay and want to get involved, like hop in, it's kind of ongoing and sets you up to be able to participate really well in these sorts of because I don't know if Wildbow is doing another one of these, like I don't like ever or like but I think he is planning to maybe one day do another one of these skip to the boss level New
Mm.
Year's Eve things, and so like if he does, you'll sort of be well equipped, or if the Path Quest people ever make it there themselves, you'll be part of it. So the New Year's Eve thing's going to kind of be us recapping like a little snapshot of one quick version of the experience, and if you want the full one, join Path Quest on the Discord server.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I mean, I was actively participating in the New Year's Eve event. I was there. I was participating. I was, fucking up. I had a great character arc over the course of it. My very first thing I said in it was me accidentally fucking up and sending a command into the chat when we weren't meant to. But I had a redemption. I did redeem myself. I helped solve a puzzle in the end. So yeah, it was
Nice.
a real character arc for me over the course of this one. But it was kind of similar to what you're describing, right? I would almost call it like a community managed or a kind of community focused tabletop RPG kind of play by post experience with Wildbow acting as the DM and setting us these like fun puzzles. And he had put together a map that kind of showed us the layout of the area, and we would go to locations on the map and then you know participate in the challenges or encounter the others or find the items or whatever as we were going.
Yeah, like it was, yeah, you're right. Like there was sort of the map and the community would vote on like where to move, and then you'd be presented with a thing, and then the community votes on like what to do, like which of the following options you want to take, so like if some other is like there and like begging you for food or whatever, sort of like, okay, do we give him food or not? Like that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, it had a similar vibe to me as a genre of puzzle that I've now played quite a bit of, which is this concept of like rule deduction puzzles. I don't know if you're familiar with many of
Yeah.
these, Elliot, um, but there are a lot of really good ones out there. Like there's one called 12 Word Searches, or if you're familiar with the
I,
work of
I had a sneaking suspicion that one might come up.
yeah, or if you're familiar with the work of Letterbus Design, they've made like the Lock and Tlack books. Those are good examples of them too. Yeah, it's this really fun genre of puzzle where as the name kind of implies, you're given a thing, and usually you're given kind of a loose goal or a basic rule of how it works, and then you kind of have to infer and deduce based on the puzzles you're presented how the rest of the game works. I would almost call something like Bubba Is You almost a rule deduction puzzle, right? Where you're given kind of the
Okay.
engine, but you have to figure out and infer the rules of how some things interact in order to solve the puzzles. Um, but yeah, kind of in the paper genre, as some of these other games are, and I found that really fun. It's a genre of game that I really enjoy, and Wildbow has made some really fun ones here, where you're inferring, okay, what do we actually think we need to do based on the soft information we're given? Like, oh, there's an other, and he looks like a giant hamster. What should we do? Oh, we've got this wheel of cheese. Let's try rolling it at him and see what happens. Whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, there was a lot of like reverse engineering how things are meant to interact, trying to like interpret path logic, which obviously like the setup of the paths makes that a fun concept.
yeah, and then to dive even more explicitly into that, Wildbow had set up challenges. I think one that we ran into a bunch was a kind of maze challenge where we didn't really understand the rules of how the maze worked, but we needed to try things and then infer the kind of rules of the maze from it, which I thought was delightful. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I was like catching up on it today and like reading through it, and there was like one where one of the hidden rules was that after all of the moves chat decided on, then the character would move down.
Mm,
So yeah, like they had to start basically figuring out how to disable that rule or like work around it. Um,
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like yeah, it is. It's like Wildbow sort of there's this the larger game which I guess feels like it reminded me of playing Slay the Spire in the map in the way the map was organized, or maybe Cult of the Lamb. Like it felt like a very roguelike sort of you were dumped in this map with all these sort of various places you could go, and one would be like a decision point, one was an other you could meet, or one was a challenge, and the
Mm.
community would pick which one to go to. You get whatever the encounter was, and that would be yeah, like the actual fun sort of gameplay puzzle thing, and then you take that step back after you won it and sort of go, okay, now like what do we do next to solve the meta puzzle that is figuring out what the fuck's going on with Pisces.
Yeah, yeah, no, it really spoke to me as well. And I've been, I guess this is the time to uh, announce this. I have been tinkering with a game that I've been working on that's kind of quite, well, a little bit, loosely inspired at least by this 100 Years Lost event. I think there are a lot of really interesting game design uh, moments, gameplay moments that came out of it, and I found that
Mm.
really kind of inspiring.
I think the other thing we probably haven't mentioned, but I really want to bring up as well is like the really RPG elements of it, which is the community's character had like a stock of items and like a
Mm,
boon companion that gave them an ability, like all that sort of thing that you'd expect a finder to kind of have.
mm,
Um, and so that was like the other element to it is like when a challenge came up, it would sort of be like, oh, well, should we use this little piece of paper we found to like get a hint or something? Like there was this whole other element of or a whole other layer to it of kind of like there was an inventory that the community had, and they had to know when to use stuff.
yeah, yeah. Some things we knew what they did, some things we didn't. Yeah, it was fascinating. I would really recommend like reading through it. It was kind of segmented out into Wildbow would post the actions, and then we had a separate thread where we were discussing and planning. Okay, what does this mean? What should we do here? Blah blah blah, and then kind of responding. So it actually is quite digestible if you go to the event thread. You can kind of read through it pretty much in order and um, basically read it as a log of everything that happened in a quite a fun way.
Yeah, yeah, the actual thread for just the 100 Years Lost 2024-2025 event is luckily it only really includes the relevant stuff. So apart from having to madly scroll through some bits where people are doing the mazes just because that was like a very like that's just a naturally like bloated sort of section. The rest of it you just kind of scrolling through and like catching up on what's happening. It was great.
Yeah, yeah, cool.
Um
We
I
haven't.
also like
Hmm,
I just wanted to say I really enjoyed the mazes like as you said I was scrolling through and like saw when you would message and stuff and it was like the mazes specifically where everyone in chat was having to like say what direction they wanted it to go in next or whatever. It felt very like it was like Twitch plays Pokemon. Like it was a really
yeah,
cool like you could tell Wildbow took a step back and like how am I going to design these puzzles and games to be not just like a normal role playing game but like a cool like one DM with a sort of limitless community and sort of thing, and taking inspiration from Twitch plays Pokemon to sort of have everyone take turns putting the inputs into the screen was very funny.
yeah, totally. I think it's worth calling out. Like, Wildbow put in a lot of effort to prep this for the community. It's kind of really nice to see Bo making all these great things just for people to play. I think it's so much fun.
Yeah, like I feel like we lamented a few times towards the end of Power Reflections. So obviously, like he wasn't able to keep up with the extra materials for the second half of the story, really.
Yeah,
And I'd been really enjoying the visual nature of those, and that was what I really appreciated about all this Path Quest and New Year's Eve 100 Years Lost event stuff was he's done so like it's crazy the amount of work that must have gone into this.
yeah, totally.
It's so plush. Like I've included some artwork from the card game they played recently in Path Quest in our doc, Reuben. And obviously, it doesn't translate very well to like audio, but like you can see, like just the amount of effort that's been put into designing a whole deck of cards and the layout of this game. Like it's crazy effort.
Yeah, definitely. It is. It does seem like he's gone to a real heck of a lot of effort for this stuff, which is cool. Like, it's all, extra. It's bonus. It's great.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I think it's really it's both capturing all the best energy of the extra materials that we sort of had and creating a cool game around it, like, it's really that sort of you can see early in Pale, like what was so great about the extra materials is it let Wildbow dive into these sort of other parts of this world, and he's just been able to recapture that, it seems, through like Path Quest and this New Year's Eve event.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, I mean, so should we talk about like the the info that we did end up gathering as part of that 100 Years Lost New Year's Eve event? I mean, like there are lots of little bits and pieces of path information, but then at the very end, we did the kind of conceit of the game was we could go and explore as much as we wanted, and then at the end, we would attempt these kind of final riddles to access, whatever the levers of the universe and all that jazz. I I think we ended up earning the chance to ask some questions, which we did ask. We got
Yes. So specifically, I will say that the audience made it through. So I think we made it through the first gate on stream, and then failed the second one.
Mhm.
And then there was no real progress made, I think, in the audience one. But then in this New Year's Eve one, they got through the second, third, and fourth gates, made it to the fifth gate, which is the one you're talking about, where the Page of Sons was there,
yes.
and the committee was allowed to ask him three questions, and then he'd ask one, and yeah,
Yeah, in fact, I think what it was the audience in the live stream had got to the second riddle, failed it, and then the interim time between that and this event figured out the answer. So they kind of felt confident that they had the answer to that one in the bag ready to go.
yeah,
And then, made it through some more gates and got to this one. So yeah, so asked some questions on like what about Pisces and learning about Pisces and stuff like that. Got some very tricky answers and non-answers to those. I mean, you can go to the thread and read that if you're interested. I think something that's been great is the community is really active about collating all the information that they get on these
yes,
things. And then we're kind of asked basically to identify something that he was describing. Asked a kind of like a "Who am I" style riddle, which was meant to be answered wordlessly and without harm to ourselves, which is a great little twist of like it's something that you can't say an answer for, or you don't have to say an answer for. Tried to answer with trust by like taking the Page of Sun's hands, but instead burned themselves and failed. So, there's still a lot of path riddling to be done, I guess.
yeah. There's still that last hurdle to be crossed, because I got the impression from the way the page was wording it that's kind of like, if you're able to answer this riddle, you should be able to figure out the rest of it pretty easily. So there's like, there's only a small gap from here to getting to the construction, which is, the metaphor for us figuring out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. So since then, people have collated and kind of examined and tried to figure out what might the answer to this actually end up being. And I saw a spreadsheet collating some of these answers, and I think there's something there that I think are really interesting that do kind of move towards answering a lot of questions all at once in a way that I think is kind of fascinating. Yeah, it's very fun. I look forward to seeing, maybe when PathQuest gets up to this same point, or if there's another event like this in the future. Um, Seeing how the community goes with taking a crack at it. I like the puzzle. I like the the deductive puzzle stuff. I feel like I'm trash at these like Otherverse level riddles, so I'm very eager to just kind of be a part of it.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of the opposite. I was like, God, I'd be dog shit at these like moving puzzles or whatever. And I mean, obviously, I haven't been that good at Pisces and stuff, but like, I feel like that's where I'm more likely to be able to make a contribution.
Mm, yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I love this type of puzzle, man. It's so fun.
Yeah. Well, and I really like I really love the way Wildbow has been handling this. Where like obviously, so PathQuest is good because it's not dealing with these far reaches yet, which is like where the actual Pisces shit is. So he only really had to give actual clues at New Year's. But even all the clues he's giving, I was surprised at how they didn't feel like cheap. Not like it wasn't like watching Lost again, right? Where it was just
Hmm.
like that just is another question that's not an answer.
Mm,
But also clearly, they're not too obvious as far as hints go. Or presumably, somebody would have figured it out, right?
mm, yeah,
So, like I really enjoy how these clues feel like they're pushing us in the right direction, but also Walbo isn't giving it to us. And yeah, like I don't know, and I mean, part of this is he's using a lot of ambiguity. Like there were quite a few parts of the event. I think the third gate was one where they had to like draw an argumentative diagram.
yeah.
So
That was a
everybody
fun
had to
one.
dig into the extra materials and like relearn how to do the diagram drawing from Pale, which I thought
And
was
not
like
just
such a
that,
fucking cool
it was
idea to.
everyone submits a drawing, and Walbo would score like the third best one or something.
Yes.
So such a fun way of doing it as well, so that everyone had to come together and work as a team, because otherwise, only the third best drawing would not be that good. It was so clever.
Yeah, and that's also great as well because like I don't think he specified like which one got marked or like I think that the fourth riddle as well was one where it was like it was scored out of 17 because they were given like a little test by a giant raven or something. Um and like they didn't know what parts they got right and wrong with like one little accidental exception, but like they just sort of got an overall score. So it was like it's very fun to give people this sort of thing saying answer a bunch of questions. It's like, yes, you got 8.5 out of 17.
Yeah.
And that gives people information asterisks, which has like been a really fun way to kind of not hard confirm stuff, but be like, I'm giving you guys something.
Yeah, it's such a fun blend of kind of narrative and mechanical theming, like the narrative theming with the mechanical gameplay both have worked so well in those types of things. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, like it yeah, I really want to try and participate in the next one because it looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah. If you'd like to participate, though, you can go to the official Parahumans Discord or check out the how-to guide that Elliot's going to put in the description for this episode, I guess.
That'll be the way to do it. I'll put links specifically to like how to sign up for PathQuest and how to just check out this backlog of the kind of New Year's Eve event if you want to just see kind of the very exciting Pisces adjacent stuff.
Yeah. But I guess is that us for today, Elliot?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like do you have any Pisces theories you want to throw at us?
I've been working on an overall theory, and I think it's very aquarium based. I think people haven't leaned into the fact that Pisces is a fish enough in a lot of their theories. So, but that's all the teaser I'll give you for now.
Okay, well, you heard it here first, folks.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
yeah,
I guess.
also, I guess it is worth pointing out the riddle that we failed to solve with the page. Like Reuben said, people are still trying to answer it. You can see all the potential answers. You can see the riddle with like all the extra caveats that have come with it since. So like you can try and form your own thing. So if you want to,
Yeah,
if you don't want to throw together an entire Pisces theory, you could even just join in and try and solve this one riddle, which would open the gate to get there. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's there's a lot of things that can be done. You know how people are like, oh, there's all these like unsolved things in mathematics you can try and solve, but they're all unsolvable. This is like solvable. So like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like and I just like literally, I feel like the biggest problem with PathQuest conceptually is that it is nobody knows it exists unless you're like in that Discord. Like I didn't
yeah,
find out about it until like months and months later, and I didn't really understand what it was until another 12 months after that. So, um,
yeah. Hopefully,
like
we've
I really
bridged that
wanted to
gap
put
for
this
people.
together,
Yeah,
just as Pale's 5th anniversary came around, so we could sort of say, "Hey, there is still shit happening, and it's really cool."
there is still
It's
official
just
Pale content coming out.
yeah, it's just like hidden, and so we just wanted to help advertise it, I guess.
Yeah. So check that out. Check out the details in the description. Check out our new show, Belting at Windmills, coming soon. First episode. I mean, the trailer thing is out, but the first episode coming next week.
Yep. And I guess normally here we'd say leave us a review or
Well,
rating
you
on
can still
iTunes
do
and that
that.
sort of
I mean,
thing, but
it's not
we
going to
don't really give
mean
a shit
much, but
anymore.
no, still do it. Still do it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, better late than never.
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, leave us the review so we can judge you for being so far behind.
Yeah, that's good.
Be like, hey, why didn't you do this 3 years ago?
Yeah, leave us a review, but we'll send it back into the past, and that should be good. Yeah, but I guess thanks for joining us. Thanks for staying subscribed to this feed, man. I mean, God,
Yeah.
dedicated.
And yeah, so I'm currently getting to work on Pace 2, and so I guess keep your ears peeled for that. But
Yeah,
aside
don't
from that,
unsubscribe
we'll
yet.
see you
There's
over in
more
our
coming.
expense. I'm sorry.
I'm saying don't unsubscribe yet because there's more coming to this feed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, actually, I take back what I said about not caring about the reviews because we will probably use this feed.
Yeah. Stay subscribed. Give us a review. And we'll catch you next time.
Bye, everyone. you know what I forgot to mention that I really loved as well?
Mm,
There was like the art for the map, and it's kind of like a whole status screen
yeah.
for the New Year's Eve event, and so it's got like, here's your boon companion, here's the map, like here's how much supply you have, and then there was just wolf, no, and I love that as foreshadowing a mechanic, just
Yeah.
it's just like you're reading the status screen, it's like in the back of your mind you're thinking, okay, at some point we might have to fucking be worried about the wolf, great.
Yeah, I think that came up in a few locations, and we never chose to even risk the wolf coming after us, I think.
Yeah, good call.